New York.
That was a different one. You used the open.
I'm thrown off, man, because I failed at trivia for the first time ever.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
Brou?
No, I'm just saying, for
Brou,
you, this is what you pride yourself on.
It's one of the things I pride myself on.
He wants to be on Celebrity Jeopardy.
No, I want to be on. I got invited on Celebrity Jeopardy, and I turned it down because if I'm going to get on Jeopardy, it's going to be the old-fashioned way, regular Jeopardy, and I'm keeping the money.
You should just. Oh, because you have to give away the money.
Listen, I'm a charitable fella, but if I go on Jeopardy, I'm keeping the money.
We start again with the man on the mountaintop. After his first 4 touchdown performance in ages, Patrick Mahomes set to take on the Prince in a very tough Jags defense. Nick, are you expecting Patrick Mahomes to stay red hot? He's back to the behind-the-back passes.
Listen.
That might be old footage.
No, that's not old footage.
Okay.
Maybe it is. Do I think they're going to score 37 again? No, I would be surprised if they did that. Do I think that the Chiefs are going to look like the Chiefs as they have since the tackle that turned the tide? Obviously. And so, I mean, you laugh. Listen, you love throwing up numbers that Josh cooks up for you. These are very simple. Okay. Pre and post tackle that turned the tide, yeah. He has been back to MVP caliber. Dust, you can put him up whenever you want, but at this point, most of us, I assume, have him committed to memory.
Oh, yeah.
5 touchdowns to 0 picks, a 120-something passer rating after a really rough opening 10 quarters of the season. And so, it's not just that. It's also that the Jags are one of 2 teams that he has played at least 5 times and never lost to, the other being the Niners. The Jags are a team that there's Mahomes against the Jags. 5-0, 108 rating. One of those was in a playoff game where he was unfairly maimed by a Jags defender and came back in. But here's the most important one. The Chiefs simply have to not turn the ball over.
Correct.
And they will beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Dust, this is the Chiefs the last 4 years. If they lose the turnover battle, they win more than they lose. If they win or tie it, they are 36-2. The 2 are week 1 against the Lions, where the turnover was a pick 6 and 2 years ago, and week 1 this year in Brazil. That's it. And the Jags have made all their money this year on forcing turnovers. They have forced 13 through 4 games after forcing 9 all of last season. So take care of the ball and you win that game on Monday night.
I would be surprised if he doesn't cook. Now, I'm not saying 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Last week, 4 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. But I am thinking, Nick, 250-ish and 3 touchdowns. I think that's very much within the realm of possibility, and I think he'll be right around there. And I'm not so sure how great this defense is.
The Jags defense.
Yeah. Like you said, they force turnovers incredibly well. At least they have thus far. 9 interceptions leads the league. 13 takeaways leads the league. But here's the quarterbacks they faced. Bryce Young. I'm sorry, Wiles, but he's struggling.
It's been a rough guy.
All right. Jake Browning, who's been abysmal. He threw 3 interceptions that game, didn't even play the whole game.
I mean, to be fair,
Joe Burrow played a lot of it. Right.
Joe Burrow started
Yeah, but he played briefly. Mm-hmm. A struggling C.J. Stroud.
Well, the last 2 quarterbacks are 2 of your favorites.
Well, a banged-up Brock Purdy who showed guts and heart just by taking the field.
He was nervous.
Just by taking nervous. He's played in Super Bowls, Wild. You think he was nervous to play against the freaking Jaguars?
Well, I mean, he didn't play great. But I'm saying the last 2 quarterbacks, though, are quarterbacks you respect.
Yes, but
CJ and
again,
Brock.
Purdy a little bit banged up. We'll get to that later.
CJ's been struggling.
And CJ has struggled. And so you said it, Nick, if they don't turn it over, and Mahomes doesn't turn the ball over generally, right? He's got 1 interception this year, and that really wasn't his fault. That was off the hands of Kelsey. So I expect him to play well. I expect them to win. And this defense, like I said, now you're facing the best quarterback in the league. And I expect also Xavier Worthy to just get better. I mean, that was his first game back. So I think he'll be better.
What's his career high in yards?
No, it was the career high in receiving yards.
Yards.
It might actually, because he had a big rushing game too, so it might have.
So I'm not sure, like, I know the narrative of
But
he's
But
back.
that's not the, but the
No,
narrative.
but he can do that again.
Okay, I just don't know how much better. If someone sets their career high, I'm not willing to say like.
He started getting better toward
That's
the
what I
end
was
of
gonna
last
say.
year.
Oh, at the end of the year.
Stop it. Prior to the Eagles
he was
game,
great in the
He was
playoffs.
awesome in the playoffs. He was better at the end of the regular season.
I'm saying
and
end
like
of the year.
stop it.
I know. I'm allowed to say that?
And the
This fly.
I know I'm going to kill him during the show. I don't know if it's
He
showing
better
up on
not
camera.
come out
but,
with it. That's all I got to say. He
the
better not
tenacity,
come
I
out
mean,
with it.
KW, but I would agree with you if his career high was if he had 190.
Yeah, it was like
he hasn't had a
89 or
100-yard
something.
receiving game yet.
Exactly.
But I want to ask you, because I did this last
I have the
Wednesday.
perfect answer. I'm
and
ready.
it caused, honestly, a brief rupture in our relationship.
One of the issues is, okay, you are Mr. Consistency, and you have just a lockbox of takes. I'm out here playing jazz. Dude.
I know.
So you were like, you said. I'm like, did I say that? There's no. I'm like,
So again, we're not rehashing, but so the audience understands the template of this. Last week when we were talking about the Ravens having a terrible defense,
yes.
I asked the question, so wait, what if the Chiefs win but don't score a lot, like win 20-17? Will you
That would be
come?
bad.
Will you come on here and say, not that why couldn't you score? And I was like, no. That a win against
is
the
a win.
Ravens is great no matter what.
don't know if I said that.
Like you said, I have a lockbox of takes.
Of your
I promise
takes.
you did. Then they scored 37, and what did he do, bro? He was like, the Ravens are good. Poo-pooed it.
He poo-pooed it.
But now the flip side of that coin exists here. If the Chiefs win, in a win, ugly, offensively, 17-13, and the Jags defense, which we showed you the numbers yesterday, they have number one against the pass,
Correct.
forced the most turnovers, I think fifth in points, all that. If the Chiefs win 17-13, are you going to come on here and say, great job?
it's just going to be a gut. It's just going to be a gutty, ugly, kind of
That's what all of
what
last
I like
year
to call,
was.
a boa constrictor. Patrick Mahomes.
That's what you're predicting?
That's what I'm predicting.
Gotcha.
Mahomes is going to look at the graphic and say,
Really? Wow.
Bryce 2, Browning 3, CJ 2, Brock 2. If I don't turn the ball over, we win. Fine.
So what do you throw out some numbers for Mahomes? Yards, touchdowns.
221 in a touchdown.
Wow.
220.
221 is very specific. I like that.
187 into. But I don't think I got to take a shot.
Why so low?
Because I just don't think. I think it can be. It's a Jalen Hurts-esque game.
So I
think it's just
well,
like.
you think he's going to have zero
You think
completions
that
and a half?
You think that defense is that good?
No, I just don't
They
think.
haven't
Why
played
take
the
any
toughest
risk?
For the
You
record,
don't need to knock him out.
He
You
wants
can
to
just
throw deep.
I think so.
Not against this
Yeah,
team.
I mean, I think that KW, you are likely describing, at the very least, the first half. No. I'm not being. No. I don't mean. No,
221.
that's not what I mean. I mean stylistically.
Yeah.
I think that you are correct that the Chiefs will go into this game and say, vanilla. We're not going for fourth downs. We're not putting the ball at risk. We don't believe this Jags offense can go the length of the field on us consistently. With that said, what I do think we might get to see from Patrick this year that we haven't seen really in the last 3 years is if they have a comfortable, not blowout, but comfortable lead, if they're up 10 in the third quarter.
Love it.
That's when they might start airing it out.
That
So
would-
you don't
last
think
year,
they'll air it out? Because at
I
least
just
so
think they'll be
far,
cautious.
Jacksonville has been good against the run. And so
I
if
think
the
they'll
Chiefs
throw a
don't
lot.
run it
I think
well-
they'll throw a lot, Brou, but I think it'll be that short stuff that we saw a lot of last year. Just because I just think if they don't turn the ball over, they're
He's
not going to lose.
gone deep every game.
Correct, but those games were games he was losing, or the Ravens game, a game where they thought they were going to have to keep up with the prolific offense. This is a little different. Yeah,
I agree with you.
we're on the
We'll
same
see.
page.
I'm saying 250.
I think you just kind of 12-round decision. Just don't even break a sweat.
This is a big game.
Post-game fight, you look normal.
This is a
Mahomes wants the light show.
That would be interesting. If at the very end, you're like, I'm going to air one out.
He wants the light show. I don't blame him.
Meanwhile, you got to stay with us for this story. News out of Cleveland. Flacco's out. Gabriel's in. Shedeur's the same. Will still be QB3 when the Browns travel to London and take on the Vikings Sunday morning. Now, Shedeur was asked about the QB room shakeup and responded in silent pantomime. Brou, your response to this non-soundbite, and then what does this mean long term? That was the question was, what does this mean long term before we sound
get to the sound or whatever that was. He's young. He's 23. He's never been in this position before. He's always been the star, superstar. So I want to give him some grace, and I like him. So I'll give him some grace. And his dad may have done something he didn't, but you know what I mean? His dad is not politically correct in his answers and responses. The difference is this. His dad was a world-class Hall of Fame athlete, all right? And everything Deion said, even as a coach thus far, he's backed up, okay? Shedeur is not that. Even if Shedeur becomes a very good quarterback, he's not his dad. He's not in that class
and
of
his
athlete.
Dad wasn't a quarterback.
Right,
There's
right.
different rules.
Yes.
Fair or not, there's just different rules for quarterback and everybody else.
So someone needs to sit Shedeur down and be like, this is not professional. And this is not going to endear him to the Browns' brain trust or to the other 31 teams. And that's the problem. And I get it, Shedeur, and this was obviously based on last week when he said, I could play better than some of these quarterbacks out there. But Shedeur, this is what he should have said. When they asked him about Dillon Gabriel, I'm happy for Dillon. I hope he makes the most of this situation. Even if obviously you want to be out there playing, would you want to play? Look, I have confidence in myself. I think I'm a good quarterback. Sure, I would love to play, but I'm not, so I'm going to support my teammate. That's it. Just leave it at that. So it's just a bad look. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's a bad look for a quarterback. As far as quickly, Nick, what it'll mean for him, I think he'll get his shot. It all depends on Gabriel. If Gabriel goes out there and plays well and gives them a spark and they maybe win some games, the defense obviously is very good, Shedeur might not see the field if Gabriel's really good. And then next year I think they bring Shedeur back as a backup, I would think. If Gabriel, which is more likely, goes out there and is okay to bad, struggles, at times, then Shedeur will get his shot. And I think most people feel like this is what's going to happen. At some point, Shedeur will get his shot in several games. Yep. He'll be able to start several games. And so we'll see what he can do. But the interview not
listen, this is perfect, actually. I mean, I agree with almost everything Bruce said, but it's perfect because there is now just enough almost credibility for folks that want to be like, no matter what the kid does, you guys kill him.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He comes out and says, what do you want him to say? Of course, he didn't say anything bad about his teammate. He just said, I'm better than, some of these other guys, and you killed him. In fact, some folks went on TV and said, shut your mouth. And now he does that. And you're going to kill him for that, too.
So there's
that's out there already.
I think we have to just address that directly. That's sports media. That was Rex Ryan.
So Rex Ryan eviscerated him. Rex said, get your butt in the front of the classroom, kind of implied he's not doing his studying, stop talking, all this stuff. And so I do think this, here is my no fake news hat on this. This is just an opinion. Here is my guess on what happened. Somebody in Shedeur's circle was like, hey, you know what you should do next time they ask you anything? Don't say anything in a response to that. They're like, that'll be clever. And Shedeur is so charming almost that because of the smile or whatever, he does have a vibe to him that makes him very likable and all of that, even when he's doing that. But it's just the worst advice imaginable. Yeah. And I feel like he has gotten bad advice for the last 9 months.
That's interesting.
And I hate it for him because I was not high on Shedeur, the franchise quarterback, the prospect. But if you guys remember going into the draft, all the criticism was about like Shedeur the person, and I was on the island of, I think Shedeur the person's actually pretty great. I think Shedeur the player has some holes that we're overlooking. And I still feel that way. I think Shedeur is objectively a good kid. I think Shedeur has dealt with having a very rich, very famous father way better than most people I know who had very rich, very famous fathers. And I think that he is a good teammate, too. I think he's a hard worker. I think these things. I think he has been just led astray by whatever his media and interview training was. Because clearly he did terribly at the pre-draft interview process. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now, how could an adult, I understand why a 25-year-old would think that's funny. And it is like, again, like you said, it's not a big deal. But you just have to recognize the job that you are applying for. And the job you have. Right now, the job you have is backup quarterback in the NFL, which is maybe the only.
It feels like you're hanging on for dear life.
Correct. Right. They just benched the starter and didn't bump you up. You know what I mean? This was a good opportunity to be like, hey, Flacco's going to be, inactive third, mentor. Yep. You didn't even get bumped up there. But what nobody has explained properly to Shedeur, in my opinion, is in modern America, it might be the only job that exists where being famous is a negative, is backup quarterback in the NFL. Every other job, if you're applying to be somebody's IT pro, it's like, by the way, I've got 3 million on TikTok. I do funny dances. It doesn't hurt you. They might be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Get me good at the company party.
I'm going through every job.
The only job where they truly don't want you to be famous is backup quarterback. That's the job he has. He can't help the fact that he's famous. He could help the fact that he's given us no reason to focus on his fame. And that quote last week, while I don't think it's certainly not mean-spirited, and I think probably well-intended, was a misstep. And this is silly. This is silly, and I think he's getting bad advice, man.
He definitely is getting
I hope it wasn't in response to Rex Ryan.
Why?
No, I think it was just in response to.
Rex was the only one.
No, but the idea of like that he should be quiet and this is how it does seem to line up, and maybe it's a coincidence, but Rex Ryan has no power in that organization.
Correct.
I think zero.
Yeah.
And his opinion. Now I sound mean-spirited. I don't want to be.
No, but
There's only a handful of decision makers. Those are the only people you need to impress.
Yeah, correct.
And they probably live in Cleveland and they're in the building. All the rest doesn't matter. Except our advice.
Yeah, well,
we've given him good advice. He's still acting like he's that All-American college player. Where if he was like a great NFL quarterback, you could get away with that. But
what great NFL quarterback?
I'm not saying
the number one pick of the draft
the
number one pick of the draft just did an interview. It was like, I'm going to keep it a buck. We asked, and everybody was fine with it.
Right, but because
I did not like it.
Yeah,
right, I didn't like that either.
But he's the number one pick of the draft. Like, you know what I mean? We got to ride with
leeway.
You. Yes, and that's the. I talked to Cam Newton about this literally yesterday before this came out. And Cam has a lot of empathy for Shedeur and a lot of like feelings about like when Cam was, he felt could have been a backup, but his aura was too big, all that stuff. But Cam Newton, when he was, growing that aura, was the Heisman Trophy winner, the best player in college football, the number one pick of the draft, the NFL MVP, took a team to Super Bowl, all these things.
Great.
Shedeur's a 5th-round pick. Whether people think he should have been or not, I think at this point everyone acknowledges he shouldn't have been the number 1 pick. He was not, you know what I mean? And once you're not a top 10 pick, Jackson Dart was a 1st-round pick. He didn't start. You know what I mean? It took Russ, playing himself out of it. Like, if you are not top 100 pick, a top 10 pick, you've got to know how to play backup quarterback. And That's been a tough spot for Shedeur.
Eagles this season are 7th in points with 27, 30th in yards, 30th in yards per play, which makes sense, and are 31st in passing yards per game at under 140, which is very strange. Yeah. Can the Eagles' offense get back on track?
Can they against the Broncos? That's not the game I would expect. I would expect them to rely on some short fields after maybe a Bo Nix mistake, rely on their excellent special teams, and listen, that Broncos defense is legit. While I did not believe in the Broncos going into the year, what I did believe in was their defense. And so I also think these Eagles' offensive problems are not simply A.J. Brown's unhappy. The offense hasn't been good. Mm-hmm. The team's been great. The offense hasn't been good. And I'm going to 3 and outs, which are a sign of a non-functional offense. Yeah. We'd had the chart that I had on Twitter yesterday was not what Josh had, so we'll go with Josh's numbers because they're correct. So these are the highest 3 and out percentages. And you see, so 29 of the teams are at under 30. There's only 3 teams over 30. The Eagles are at 34%. But think about those teams, man. The Saints with Spencer Rattler, who's probably not a starter, and you know what I mean, over the long term. The Titans with that head coach and a rookie quarterback. The Bengals with a backup quarterback. And the Vikings with a backup quarterback.
It's a shocking
And the Philadelphia Eagles with Saquon, a great O-line, Jalen, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. More than a third of their possessions, they go 3 and out.
It makes you...
What? Go ahead.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Makes you what?
It makes you wonder.
It don't make me
Hold on.
wonder.
Let him finish his bit.
You don't think so? When
Hold
you
on.
see a graphic like this, you don't say, hey! What's going on?
You got
Go ahead, Bruce. Like you touched everybody. I
was acting like you.
I know. Go ahead, bro.
The hand wringing. You know what? The rest of the league should be frightened.
I do like
They're not running the ball well. Yeah. They're not throwing the ball well. We got a graphic that shows the difference in their offensive line, which has always been their strength. Look at the rankings at by position last year versus this year. So that offensive line isn't playing well. And yet, they are 4-0, having beat Sean McVay, the Kansas City Chiefs, McVay and the Rams, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Spagnuolo
and the Cowboys.
Yeah. Spagnuolo and Todd Bowles are 2 of the best defensive minds in the league. And without anything clicking, they're winning. Like, wait till it starts to click. Yeah, Philly Eagles, y'all shouldn't worry at all. Don't let the hand wringing get in your head, because that's what they did 2 years ago with the supernatural funk. It was the same thing.
I think you got to throw the ball to A.J. Brown.
They should. I totally agree. I'm not that high. From what I've seen from Petula so far, I mean, I'm not liking it.
What about the fake tush push?
That was nice,
like
but
that.
They should definitely be throwing the ball
I haven't
more.
seen, you know what?
Intermediate passes.
You know how the different, silly things that are indicators of a recession is coming? You probably know one of these things.
Yeah.
It's like
dry cleaning,
yeah.
underwear sale.
Right. It's like people are stopped doing certain things. There is a direct correlation to how much trouble the Eagles' offense is in. Indirect correlation, pardon me. And how many Kevin Wilde's tweets about Jalen Hurts we're getting.
Great take.
And we're in a drought, buddy.
What do you want
Exactly.
You are slowly, and I'm here for it. You are slowly pushing Jalen Hurts.
I'm not.
To this side of the
I'm not
table.
saying that.
You clearly
I'm just
you
saying
haven't
your word.
mentioned Hurts in a positive light in
What
days.
can he say? What can he say?
And I'm singing his praises. He's 5th on Bru's ballot.
He had 0 passing yards in the second.
I'm fine with it. Bring it
How
on.
can you be fine with it? I'm not dissing
Because
him.
they're
That's
4-0, having beat
I
3
know
Super
that.
Bowl
That's
contenders.
That's
You
my
don't
whole
know
thing.
it.
That's my
It
whole
used
thing.
to
He's
be your
4-0.
whole
It's
thing.
my whole thing. But he's got to have
Does he?
positive yards. Yes, he does.
Who's going to beat him? I don't care. He doesn't care if he has 100 yards. He's winning. He's
Shouldn't
a
care if
winner.
he has 1.
He's
he's
about winning, man.
You can't start the game with more yards than you end the game with.
You know what this is?
And I love him.
You know what this is?
No.
This is Jalen.
No.
He's way on my side
not.
now.
No, he's
You
not.
have just
Look at what
I haven't got.
some of my best guys, Anthony Edwards, Ja, now Jay, they're all performing guys. You
No,
gave
I
up
just
on.
Cowboys.
Knicks come on my side on that. Goat potential. Just
Oh, yeah.
potential. Yeah.
Not
Coach
after the
Mangini's
first those
here.
2 years. He's out.
Cowboys favored by less than a field goal against the Jets this Sunday at 1 on Fox. Cowboys defense rough sledding. 40 to the Packers in a tie, but Jerry Jones optimistic. Okay, let's take a look at the Cowboys report card this season. Brou, do you want to go through it?
B for a close loss to the defending champ. C plus close win over coach's Giants. F, that's an F game, obviously. A minus. Okay. Yeah. I feel good about those grades.
Yeah, you did them. Do you expect that Cowboys have another A game?
No. I do expect them. I think they will probably win. All right, they definitely should win, but I don't think an A game is coming. An A game is another 40-piece. The Jets are giving up 30 a game.
Okay.
All right. It's Sauce Gardner. I don't know what's happened to the Jets defense, but it's for the second straight year, it's in decline. Sauce Gardner hadn't been as good as usual. An A game, coach, would be 42-20. That'd be an A game because that means your defense is starting to play better.
It's a high
and the
bar.
offense
42 to 20.
An A game. That's what an A game is.
You are
What,
tough.
31-17 wouldn't be an A game?
He's a tough grader.
31-17 might be. That's
Okay,
not a
all
bad
right,
one.
31-17.
I'm
Let's
expecting 31-27. So that's, a pretty good game. The Jets, they're just going to come out and give it their all. So I think we'll see a B game and the Cowboys win.
Yeah, you giving him a B game for the opener against Philly, I thought was a little harsh. I thought that was much better.
It's an L, though.
I get it,
Thought it
but
was a
compared to what expectations were, I thought that was a little harsh. What concerns me about this game is what you said. They definitely should win. So you feel that way, and you're probably not alone in feeling that way. And Dallas shouldn't be feeling that way, but they probably are.
Do you think the Cowboys are good enough to be overconfident ever? You know what I mean? Like that. Go.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I think that human nature creeps in, and so they have the great comeback against the Giants, or that back and forth against the Giants. They pull it out. They're tough against Philadelphia. Now they go and play Green Bay. Nobody gives them a chance. They play it to a tie. They play outstanding against that defense. Their defense. There's different signs that you could count as encouraging in terms of production. So now they're facing the Jets, who everybody has pretty much written off. And human nature, unfortunately, creeps in where you think you're a little bit better than you are. And there is no margin for error with this team. And the Jets are about as desperate as you can be. So it sets up for it sets up for an F game.
Yeah. So an F game.
It's on the table.
See,
Well, yeah.
Chicago
if you-
ended up, they should have won that game.
No,
Yeah,
Chicago's got a lot more offensive talent than the Jets.
Yeah, I agree with
And
that, but they
listen,
weren't playing well.
I don't know what's happened to the Jets defense because I do like Aaron Glenn. I believe in Aaron Glenn, certainly as a defensive mind. Obviously the door's still open. The jury's still out on him as a head coach, but I thought he had a lot of the prerequisites to make him good. That defense has allowed 34, then 30, then 29, then 27. So I guess it's trending in the right direction, one could argue, but it's still, that is not what we expected. I think the Cowboys, even though I am pessimistic on them over the course of the season, I see no reason why they shouldn't be 3-2-1 going into their game against Washington. I don't know if we can throw up their schedule. I do expect them to go to the Meadowlands and beat the Jets. And then the next week, they have the Panthers. And I think that they should be set up to feel like we walk into that Washington game with, second place in the NFC East on the line. Now, I think it could get quite hard for them after that.
What, really? Denver will be tough, but Arizona.
I think Arizona's the
Raiders,
same caliber as them. I think the Raiders are the same caliber as them. And then every team they play after the Raiders until the Giants is better than them. So that's what I'm saying.
Maybe the Vikings.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what JJ looks like by that point in the season. And so I think it could get tough for them later on. But I do think Dak is playing some of the best football of his life, and against a defense that hasn't played well and an offense that I don't trust at all, it would take a total letdown in concentration, because I think this is one of The next 2 weeks might be the only 2 weeks left on their schedule where they are the more talented team. You know, Arizona and the Raiders would be arguable, but where they are the more talented
And
roster.
the problem is, the second they start thinking that way, they're going to lose to one of those teams.
Well, and I think they've been good. That's the thing. Like you said, should they be ever be thinking, you know, we'll go in and win this game? The fact that for 3 straight years they won 12 games, most, you know, Dak and a lot of those other guys, I do think that makes them susceptible to that because they don't see themselves like we and other people see them.
Right.
They've got the best offense and the worst defense through the first 4 weeks. Odd combo. Good news,
The Bengals,
everybody.
we said, could they be the poor man's Bengals? And that's what they've been.
Episode 4 of the Marlon Humphrey podcast dropped. What's on the timestamps? Glad you asked. 13-14, should golf crowds get rowdy?
Good one.
38-39, movies, expectations, and Marlon on Titanic. Talked about that a little bit. And at 26 seconds, his take on how good the Ravens actually are.
That's my squad.
Brou, are they a good football team? Or do they have two?
I do think they're a good football team.
So
You know, when they're healthy.
So no. But
Or even when Lamar is healthy.
so
Even without some of their defensive
I
players.
just
Absolutely.
wonder if they are right now a good football team, or if they have, and this people might think this odd coming from me, just an all-time great player. And I have questions.
Players.
Well, but one of them they're not using. You know what I mean?
Well,
Lamar's an
they-
all-time great, and Derrick Henry's an all-time great. But Derrick Henry, they don't want to give the ball to.
They push Buffalo all over the field
For
55 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the team most people think will win the Super Bowl. They pushed them. And now it's on the board. I didn't think of it at the time. You may have mentioned it if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that loss really messed them up more than we thought mentally. I don't know. But even if, look.
the loss to Buffalo. in week
Yeah, the
one.
loss to Buffalo, the way it happened, and they lost to Detroit and Kansas City. Now, I know they look bad in the game against the Chiefs, but I'm just saying most teams in the league will lose to those teams. And then they didn't just survive the Browns, they pounded the Browns. So I do think they're still a very good team when healthy. The podcast, look, to each his own, and great players, Coach knows this better than any of us. Great players come in all stripes, so that's how Marlon Humphrey is. It's just different than I thought he was. He's a great player.
Yeah.
He's been all pro twice.
Oh, you must not follow him on Twitter.
Yeah,
you get a little of his
like,
personality on Twitter.
Yeah, seeing this, and it brought to mind, remember last year on the plane when they had won their first game, and he was filming Lamar. He's silly.
Yes.
And that's fine because there's some great. But I don't see Ronnie Lott, Ron Woodson, Ed Reed. I don't see them doing this. I'm just saying.
Ed Reed.
I'm just saying.
There's something on his YouTube channel. It's called Pizza Crime.
Marlon Humphrey?
Yeah, horrible pizzas, and
he's kind of a silly. I thought of him as more of an intimidator and all that, but he's not. But he's still a very good player. Yeah, that's how he can play. So
I didn't think I'd be saying this early in the season, but I miss Micah's podcast. Like watching that makes me really nostalgic for Micah's podcast.
Good production quality.
Yeah,
on
and
Micah's
I really wish he would come back. And maybe that's
his was at least a little more.
Yeah, it was
serious.
great, and maybe that's part of why he's missing his mojo up in Green Bay right now.
One day.
But if we could get that back, we talk all the time in the NFL about next man up because that's what you have to say, and you have to project that in the locker room, and you have to make sure that everybody feels like you have a chance to win. But the problem is when it gets to be next man, next man, next man, next man, next man up, and we're talking about 5 deep on a defensive group, it not only affects the talent level, it affects the communication, it affects the ability to adjust, it affects the depth on special teams. There's layers that these injuries have on a team. So do I think they're a good team when healthy? Yeah, I do think they're as competitive as anybody else, primarily because of Lamar. But also, there's a lot of talent on that defense as well. It's when you chop off this many layers, it affects deeper than I think we anticipate.
I agree, but I also think there were pretty clearly some fundamental issues with this defense when healthy. And I think that we saw that for large portions of last year, and we saw it in week 1. You know what I mean? And I understand that Buffalo is a great offense. I get that. But we also haven't seen, we don't know yet what Buffalo is going to look like against against a team with a good or much less great defense. We're going to have to wait and see for that maybe this week.
Sunday night.
Maybe Sunday night. But I think that Baltimore's defense, it seemed like, to me, there were concerning. I thought the Jair Alexander signing in the offseason was a canary in the coal mine of, they might have some problems. And I said it at the time because I know some people liked him and he just hasn't been healthy for them this year, so we can't really judge that signing yet. He played in week 1, but since has been like a healthy, unhealthy scratch since then. It's weird. But I just don't think teams that feel great about their unit go make that move. And so I think the Ravens, I think it would be a mistake if you simply said, it's just the injuries. When we get healthy, we'll be fine. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.